Hello, everybody. Hey, it's John, small time bookseller, and I am back here stateside once again. And yeah, so back from my vacation, and I'm ready for another video. So this one is going to talk about the stuff I sold on eBay. For anyone who's new here, that's what I do: buy stuff, sell it on eBay, mostly books, as you can see. The piles and piles of books back here, but other stuff too whenever I come across it. I get stuff at Goodwill bins for the most part. More and more recently, it seems like regular Goodwill has been a source that's kind of been better for me, and a couple local thrift stores as well, and the random and occasional, garage sale or estate sale or dead guy on the side of the road, Rare when you find one of those, but when you do, you got to take that opportunity and find something to thrift off the dead guy. So anyhow, I'm gonna get into this. This is so I've been selling the hats that I wear in here, and I've sold 3 or 4 to viewers, but I find myself I'm spending way too much time digging through my hats to see which one I want to sell. So I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore. So this is just one of my, I've actually bought this in Vietnam. So it's more than likely not a real North Face, but yeah. So that's where we were on vacation. If you saw my last video, that was from the Lat Vietnam. I wanted to make another one when we were like in Hanoi or maybe in Laos or someplace, but we ran into quite a bit of rain actually, and I just never really had a good opportunity to make one. So now that I'm back, I'm going to try to make a bunch more before the school year starts up again. So anyhow, so that's what I do. So this is pretty much what I do. I buy stuff, sell it on eBay, come here, tell you about it. Don't do any garage sale videos or yard sale videos. I don't put on the GoPro at the Goodwill bins, looking at my hands all dressed in black, silent and dry-eyed, as befits the norms of sadness in a country accustomed to the dignity of grief. Look at them. So, we're going to get into the sales right now. I'll go from the least valuable to the most valuable to build the suspense. And I'll try not to make it, it's not going to be too long because that's all I got. So I got one little story to tell at the end. I don't even know what I'm going to say about these. We'll see if anything pops into the old noggin while we're working. But yes, so here we are ready for some... what did a viewer, a commenter called it, low effort, it was bad. I've had 2 negative comments recently that they don't bother me at all. It's okay. But one person said that I'm tapped out and I should act normal, which is good advice, but I'm okay. And the other one said it was just low effort, boring slop or something like that. So I hope that they're both here. Why would you? Anyhow, it didn't bother me. I just kind of funny that that was like the first negative comments I've ever gotten. I'm gonna cry. But anyways, we're ready. All right, so here's the first one: The Origin of Human Life by R.B. Thiem. So this was, I got a whole stack of these books by R.B. Thiem Jr. And they sell for $8 or $10, sometimes $12 a piece. And there's they're behind that stack there. But I still got a bunch of them, and they sell pretty good. So that was a nice pickup that I did for those. But that was $8 for that one. Here's a book. This is a custom note-taking system, refill pages, 50 pages from Tool custom note-taking system. Sold for $10. Got that one at the bins as well. And then a book of The African Queen from the International Collectors Library, sold for $10. You see those International Collectors Library books quite often, and they don't sell for much, but they will sell, especially the better known titles, typically in that $10 to $15 range. So they're nice looking books, and if somebody wants a nice looking reading copy, that's one they might pick up. So I do recommend picking them up, but you ain't gonna get rich off of it. Then we had San Antonio, a historical and pictorial guide by Charles Ramsdell from 1959, sold for $10. I mentioned it recently before also, but more and more of my books that I sell tend to be vintage books, as there are a lot of booksellers at the bins. So they are scanning books, and most of them, I believe, sell on Amazon, and that's fine that they do that. But they typically, when I get there, you know, a lot of the newer stuff is already picked over, but a lot of the older stuff is still there because they're just not interested in selling the older stuff. So a lot of that's left for me, and so I find myself buying and selling a lot more vintage stuff when I go to the bins. And my favorite bin's closed. The one on 59 in Gessner, it's closed down, and they opened up a new one that's way up there at Highway 6 and 290, like northwest Houston. And I went up there when did I go? Tuesday. I think I went on Tuesday. And it's interesting. It's just a typical bins place. It was a lot of bins out there. Huge, giant warehouse. And no air conditioning, but some big fans going. So it was a little bit warm and stuffy in there. Not a lot of people. But the thing I didn't like about it is that they close from 11 to 11:30 every day. And so you got this poor worker walking around trying to get everybody to leave, and no one understands why. She's like, we're closing in 10 minutes. We're closing in 10 minutes. And I'm like, why are they closing? And then as I was leaving, I saw the sign that said daily floor maintenance. It said from 11 to 11:30, and then again from like 4 to 4:30. So that was kind of annoying. I ended up leaving, went and got some lunch, came back, and looked around a little bit more. But the booksellers were there too. The book scanners were there as well. And but I was bummed out my favorite one being shut down. Next, we have Desiring Arabs, paperback for $12. I had this book on the shelf for years, and it finally sold for $12. And then another book, The Days of My Years, autobiographical reflections of Leopold L. Myers, sold for $12. Biographies, people that you never heard of, they can sell because somebody's heard of them. This is somebody's dad, or whatever. Well, but even things, just because you haven't ever heard of somebody, it doesn't mean that they're not important in some other area that you aren't aware of. Or I have actually had people buy autobiographies from family members. They've mentioned, hey, this is my grandfather. I'm so happy to have this one or something. But so I recommend picking them up. And they'll often sell. And then another autobiography, What I Have Lived. This is an autobiography by Charles L. Allen, and it was a signed copy. So I always check most nonfiction, a lot of cookbooks. You just flip open if they're not selling, if they don't sell well on their own, flip it open and see if it's signed. So I find a lot of signed books at the bins. And then a Russian engineering machine design book, sold for $15, one that has a lot of really cool images in it. And then a hat, a Mollusk California adult whale patch trucker hat, sold for $15. And then a book in Spanish, Texto y Vida, Introducción a la Literatura Española, by Bárbara Mujica, $15. And then the Naval Fighters number 66, Grumman, sold for $17. Air fighter, fighter jet kind of books sell really well. Yeah. Becoming a Supple Leopard. This is the second one of these I've sold. They don't sell for a lot. It's kind of like if you're studying, what's the word? Like if you want to be an athletic trainer, you're going to study, slip my mind, but that's what it's for if you're going into that kind of area. Hopefully I'll remember that in a minute. That's driving me crazy. Because my son is just studying. It's like sports recreation, medicine. What's that word? Then I sold a visor. No, a visor. Kingwood Country Club visor, sold for $17.95. Kingwood Country Club is up there in Houston, close to me. Well, it's on the north side of Houston. And then check out this one. The Drainage Areas of Iowa Streams from 1974. This is a 1974 reprint of a much older book put out by the U.S. Geological Survey. $20 on the drainage areas of Iowa streams. That's another, it's pretty niche. Marjorie Morningstar by Herman Wouk, the 1955 first edition, first Doubleday edition. It's probably not the very first edition ever of the book, but the first Doubleday edition sold for $20. 1963 book called Blue Bay Mystery by Gertrude Warner, sold for $20. You can see a lot of these older books. Kampangan Literature, a historical survey and anthology. Pampanga is, I believe, an area of the Philippines. I did look that up because I was interested in when I saw that. Sold for $24. Welding Handbook Applications of Welding, 6th edition from 1973, sold for $25. And then a photography book by Rene Buri, Cuba y Cuba, sold for $25. I do pretty well with the photography books, art books. Also, if you haven't, always look up to see if they're signed. I often find those also can be signed. And then a CD, El Coqui, Un Canto de Puerto Rico, sold for $25. That's pretty good for a CD. And then a book called $100 Million Offers, Volume 1, and $100 Million Leads, Volume 2, sold for $25. I bundled those two together. 1973 math book, Category Theory and Introduction, sold for $35. So I'll mention this again. It's been a while, I think, since I've talked about things like textbooks. If they're currently being used, worth a lot of money. If they're not currently being used, they're not worth anything until you get to a point where then they become interesting again because of historical value, seminal works of a particular author. The images can be worth things, but somebody's not buying a 1973 math book maybe to learn how to teach math or to learn math, but that's an important book or it's an interesting book for some reason. But once you get, for me, I find 70s and earlier for science books, math books, medical books, and then when you get back to 60s and 50s and 60s, then they're really collectible, especially the medical books on things like that. Then we have The Provident Home, sold for $40. A pair of shoes, sold these for my son, Nike Air Force Ones. These were crimson, size 13, sold for $50. He took an offer on that. He said they're probably worth more than that, but he was really just wanted to sell them. And then another signed book, 1993 copy of Betrayal by Any Other Name by Dr. Khalid Abdullah Tariq Al-Mansour, $50 on that one. And then and our Goldman Fristo 2 Test of Articulation Manual, Speech Language Pathology book, sold for $57. And the big sale of this is January 1st through the 13th, was a pasta bowl set, a serving bowl with 4 pasta bowls from Williams Sonoma, sold for $150. And I've got a little story about that one that I'll tell you in just a minute. So that brings us to, I didn't do the grand total. Hold up. Do a quick little bit of math here. That's a 95, and that's a 6, and you carry the 1, and that's a 3, and there's a 7. So the grand total was 27 sales for $736.95. Nada Books, $267.95 on 6 Nada Books, which got us to a $44.65 average, which is, I planned it out when I was on vacation about what my goal for Nada Books. And I put it in, you can see the last video. I told you, next video is going to be $44.65, and I nailed it. Yes! And my book total was $469 on 21 books, $22.33 average, which is a little less than I'd consider a good sales period of 25. So, again, this is January 1st through the 13th, and that last sale was the pasta bowls. And sometimes I think I should stop selling things that can break. That's why I originally got into books, because they are really hard to break. and they're easy to pack, and they're hard to break, and they're cheap to ship. But this one, it turned out okay. So I sold the pasta bowl and the big bowl and the 4 serving for 150 bucks. I had paid, I believe, 8 or 10 for the set from a thrift store nearby. And so when the buyer got it, the big bowl had broken. And I was like, oh, I was so mad at myself. I put lots of foam, lots of bubble wrap, lots of everything, lots of cardboard. So it just broke on the way there. And so I asked the guy, I said, hey, do you want a partial refund? Do you want to ship back the 4 bowls and I'll give you a full refund? Do you want me to buy another one and send it to you? And that's what they opted for. He said, if you could he said, I want the set. So if you can find another serving bowl and send it to me. So I went on eBay and found one for like 40 bucks, which was pretty cheap, a lot cheaper than basically what mine was sold for. And I bought that one, the basic drop shipper, but this was like, openly saying when I bought it, I was like, hey, I'm buying this because the one I sold broke. So if you could just really make sure this makes it there. I paid for it, sent it to the guy. It got there. Everything was good. I did try to claim a damage from the post office, but they wanted me to bring the item in. I was like, I don't. So I sent the pictures in. They wanted more information. It ended up lapsing the time, and I didn't follow up on it. I probably could have followed up on it. I know, the main post office guy at the local one in Lake Jackson, and I think he probably would help me out with it, but it did time pass. So had I followed through with that, I had tried to make a claim for like $75 on the big bowl, and I could have made a little bit of money, actually. But as it turns out, yeah. So I'm tired of things breaking when I ship them. So I don't know. I've got some more breakable things that are listed, but I don't know. I got to find a better way to pack breakable items. I mean, it just seems like paper inside the cup, bubble wrap, foam, extra cardboard on the box sides, up and down, foam around it, packed tight so they're not jostling around. Stuff just keeps breaking. So anyhow, that's my story. And yeah, so I think that's about it. I'm gonna try to post this one tomorrow, making other videos before, like I said, before school gets out. We're gonna try to make some more. And sorry it's not so much fun today, but again, I appreciate you being here, and hopefully you're selling the heck out of a bunch of stuff, and I will see you sooner rather than later. Adios.